case to actually confirm that that may be her her condition. So with those two experts coming forward and not validating that, just looking at it and not being close to the case, I would co-sign and say that they are probably correct when they're looking at these the symptoms of this case, especially with what we know DID to be, which was formerly the multiple personality disorder.
Doctor, I'd love to get your assessment. I don't know how much of the video of the assessment that was done by the defense's expert you were able to see, but I'm sure you got to see some of it. What was your take on the interview that was done, about 14 hours worth of interviews the doctor did with the defendant in this case, and she came up with her diagnosis, not based just on the 14 hours. She did extensive interviews of those who knew her, family, looking at all her records, et cetera, interviews, phone calls. Just want to get your thoughts on that overall process, specifically the interview and how that was conducted. She came under some fire by the state. She was a little suggestive in it. They thought some of the things that she was interpreting were interpreting through the lens of a specialist in the area, maybe some confirmation bias thrown in there as well. I'd just love to get your thoughts on it.
Well, I would have to look at that tape very closely to come up with a solid opinion of it in all fairness. But I do believe whenever there is a criminal defense case that we have to look at the possibility of faking. So that means the expert that comes in has to be completely, to the best of their ability, completely objective, to not be suggestive, and to be able to use the criteria and all the best practices in conducting those interviews to come up with the best evidence base to support that diagnosis or to support her conclusions would be my overall thoughts about that without seeing all the details to be specific.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, the doctor in this case, Judge, she was clear. She thought no matter what you think about what's going on, she's got, years and years of experience. She said there's a psychosis going on here. She didn't go as far as to say she could specifically say it was DID.
No, she didn't.
Because she didn't have the EEG and some other things that she would have liked to have had. But she said there's psychosis going on.
Right. And here's another interesting thing. She met with the defendant, doctor, the Sunday before she testified. Now, the court ruled that could not come into evidence because of the rules about you have to provide a report at least so many days before trial. That hadn't been done. But does it surprise you or not? Does it make a difference that she also met with the defendant just a few days before she actually testified?
I would say that probably would highly make a difference, right? So when we're doing these evaluations, there has to be some time. There has to be time to report. There has to be perhaps a second interview, right? So having an evaluation in such an important case so close together could lead certain things to be up for interpretation.
All right. We can't thank you enough, Dr. Janie Lacy, for joining us, for lending us all your great expertise. We enjoy having you here. Coming up next, with so many names to keep track of, we have a look at who's who in the doomsday cult mom trial. This breaks it all down in a way we can understand who everybody is.
Murder on Music Row.
Who's going to expose this chart?